I've always been fascinated by the way human understanding of the cosmos has evolved over millennia. From the mysterious circles of Göbekli Tepe to the contradictions in Genesis, our ancestors' attempts to make sense of the world around them have left us with a rich legacy of myths, legends, and religious beliefs. Göbekli Tepe is a site that's revolutionized our understanding of early human civilization. This remarkable complex, with its massive T-shaped pillars, was built over 11,000 years ago, predating Stonehenge by a staggering 6,000 years. What's truly astonishing is the evidence it provides of astronomical consciousness among our Neolithic ancestors. The precise alignment of these stone circles suggests a deep understanding of celestial movements. It's as if these ancient people were reaching out to the stars, trying to connect their earthly existence with the cosmic dance above. This early fascination with the heavens would go on to shape mythologies and religions for millennia to come. Now, if we look at the time of the Babylonians, their creation myth, the Enuma Elish, bears striking similarities to the Genesis account in the Bible. Both stories begin with a watery chaos. Both involve the separation of waters to create land, and both culminate in the creation of humans and the gods resting. But here's where it gets interesting. The biblical account, written much later, seems to be a reworking of these earlier myths. It's as if the writers were taking familiar stories and reshaping them to fit a new monotheistic worldview. This process of adapting and reinterpreting older myths is something we'll see again and again in our exploration of ancient beliefs. As we delve deeper into the Old Testament, we find fascinating clues about the evolution of religious beliefs. The Hebrew words for God and Lord, Elohim and Adonai, actually refer to Canaanite and Phoenician deities. It's as if the early Hebrews were combining different gods into one, creating a new deity that would eventually become the monotheistic God we know today. This process wasn't always smooth. Throughout the Old Testament, we see efforts to eradicate the worship of other gods, particularly the goddess Asherah. It's a struggle that reflects the broader shift from polytheism to monotheism and from female to male deities that was occurring across the ancient Near East. It's quite remarkable how these changes in belief systems mirrored the social and political changes of the time. Now, if we consider some of the earliest religious artifacts we found, the Venus figurines, we see another fascinating aspect of ancient belief. These small statuettes, found across Europe and dating back as far as 30,000 years, represent female figures with exaggerated sexual characteristics. They're thought to represent fertility goddesses or perhaps even a universal mother goddess. One particularly intriguing figurine holds a tally stick with 13 marks, possibly representing the 13 lunar months in a year. This suggests that even in the Paleolithic era, people were making sophisticated observations about celestial cycles and incorporating them into their religious symbolism. It's, well, quite remarkable when you think about it. These ancient people tracking lunar cycles without any of the tools we take for granted today. The shift from the Bronze Age to the Iron Age wasn't just a technological change, it brought with it profound social and religious transformations. The books of Joshua and Judges in the Old Testament provide two different, often contradictory accounts of this transition period. In Joshua, we see the Hebrews conquering all before them. But in Judges, which is traditionally placed after Joshua, they're often defeated. This contradiction might reflect different historical memories, or perhaps different political agendas of the writers. What's clear is that this was a time of great upheaval, with new technologies and new ideas challenging old ways of life. The introduction of iron weapons, for instance, completely changed the balance of power in the ancient Near East. As we transition from the Bronze to the Iron Age, we see another fascinating shift, from magic to religion and from uncleanliness to sin. In earlier times, ritual cleanliness was paramount. To approach the gods, one had to be physically clean, and sacrificial animals had to be without blemish. But over time, this concept of physical cleanliness evolved into the more abstract idea of moral purity or sinlessness. We can see this transition in the Old Testament. Leviticus is full of rules about physical cleanliness, but later books start to emphasize moral behavior over ritual purity. It's a shift from concrete physical concepts to more abstract moral ones, a pattern we see repeated in many aspects of human thought. Sacrifice is a central theme in many ancient religions, and its evolution tells us a lot about changing beliefs. In early times, human sacrifice was not uncommon. We see hints of this in biblical stories like Abraham and Isaac, or Jephthah's daughter. Over time, animal sacrifice became the norm, and eventually, in many religions, sacrifice became purely symbolic. This shift reflects changing ideas about the nature of the gods and humanity's relationship with them. From demanding and bloodthirsty deities who needed to be appeased, we move towards more benevolent gods who value moral behavior over ritual sacrifice. There's a profound shift in religious thought that has shaped our modern concepts of divinity. It's fascinating to think about how these ancient practices have echoes in modern religious rituals, even if we no longer practice literal sacrifice. Throughout our exploration, we've seen how ideas and deities from different cultures often merged and combined. This process of syncretism is a key feature of religious evolution. We see it in the way the Hebrews combined different gods into one, in the Roman adoption of Greek deities, and in countless other examples throughout history. This combining of ideas isn't limited to religion. It's also a key feature of mathematics and mythology. Both fields involve taking existing concepts and combining them in new ways to create more complex or abstract ideas. It's a fundamental aspect of human thought, allowing us to build ever more sophisticated understanding of our world. In our final chapter, we'll look at one last transition, from vegetation gods to solar deities. Early religions often focused on the cycles of nature, with gods representing the death and rebirth of vegetation. But as societies became more complex and astronomical knowledge grew, these vegetation gods often evolved into solar deities. This shift reflects a growing understanding of the sun's role in governing the seasons and agricultural cycles. It's a move from a local, earthbound perspective to a more universal, cosmic one. And it paved the way for the great monotheistic religions with their emphasis on a single, all-powerful deity governing the entire universe. It's fascinating to see how our growing understanding of the natural world has shaped our religious beliefs throughout history. The journey of human belief is a long and complex one, full of transitions and transformations. From the stone circles of Göbekli Tepe to the monotheistic religions of today, we've been constantly refining and reimagining our understanding of the cosmos and our place within it. And this journey isn't over. Who knows what new discoveries and ideas might reshape our beliefs in the future? The adventure of human understanding continues, and I, for one, can't wait to see where it takes us next.